Hello and good morning, everyone. I apologize for the delay. We made some last minute changes to the live broadcast today. Unfortunately, Diana is not going to be able to be with us today. Some things came up, and because this is a live event, we had to make some quick changes. And so I apologize for that, but she has committed to rescheduling. So as soon as I get an update from her and am able to let you guys know, we'll update the event to change it. However, today I still want to continue our discussion on our talk about winning with teens. My name is Jayson Simmons. If you're new here, maybe this is the first time you tuned in, and we started Parenting Accurately just a little bit over a month ago. And we were doing this because, frankly, because I went through some hard times with my children, especially the teens. And I feel like we've overcome them and was able to really to help build the relationship that I have with my kids. And I began to see like how difficult parenting is, but also as I got to know some of the friends of my daughters, I realized that there's a lot of kids out there that have parents that are disengaged. They're not really active in their life. So I wanted to do something about it. And for those of you that don't know me, I was a youth pastor 20 years ago. And, I really went through some things with my kids that frankly was scary. And I wasn't sure how to deal with. And through, several years of learning and trying new things and figuring out like what works, what doesn't work, I feel like I put together some ideas, and I'm putting together a system, a program that I'm actually going to be releasing soon, that will help guide parents into that relationship with their kids, into that connection with their kids. So I just want to share from my heart a little bit today, along the line of winning with your teens, and I'm going to share actually some pieces of an ebook that I put together, and it's actually found on our website, parentingaccurately.com. So we're going to go through that today, and I also put out a post yesterday that I'm going to give away a free coaching session today. So I want to make sure we do that as well. I don't want to miss out on that. So anyway, that's what the plan is today. We'll probably try to end it in about 30 minutes or so. I know everybody's busy, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I value your time, and I appreciate you guys' input. But again, just a reminder, I will update that event, and as soon as I get a time and a date when Diana can come back on with us. So apologize for that inconvenience. Like I said, this is a live event, so sometimes things happen, and I can't fix it. So it is what it is. But thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the feedback. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you have a question, you see an event coming up, feel free to leave a question in the discussion section of that event. That'll help prepare us so that we can make sure that we're adding the value that you need. After all, that is the point here. I mean, if we're not adding value to the needs that you have, this is pointless, and I don't want to waste time. So I really want to help people, really want to help improve the relationship of parenting with our kids. So a little bit more about me and why I'm doing this, and my journey as a parent of teenagers. And I'm definitely going to share some things that's really helped me. So really a couple years ago, my 14-year-old committed or attempted suicide. And that you can imagine what that does to a parent. Maybe you're a parent that has had a child that's tried, or somebody that's attempted suicide, or maybe even unfortunately was successful in that. Going through that really rocked my world as a parent. It changed me. It changed the way that I saw my own parenting role, that my parenting it changed the way I saw myself. It changed the way that I fathered. It changed the way that I took, and we all see things in our kids' life, and some things we feel like, okay, this is an important battle, this is something I want to talk to them about, and then this is maybe something that's not so important. And there's many reasons why kids get to the point where they're willing to take their own life. In my daughter's case, I don't have time to get into all of it, but however, just so you know, we are going to dedicate one show, and I'm going to have my daughter on, and we're going to be very transparent, guys. We're going to talk about that season of her life, and I'm so thankful to be able to tell you that she's over it. She's doing great now. She's thriving. She literally has no more depressing thoughts or thoughts of like you should kill yourself. She's really come a long way in a short amount of time, and we're going to go in depth in what she went through. We're going to go more in depth of like what I went through and the decisions that I had to make, the hard decisions I had to make, and what it was like for her, and then also what it was like for myself. So we'll be updating you guys as we get closer to that event, and it may be an opportunity to bring your kids in, and if you have teenagers, to watch with us. I think it'll be very, very valuable to both the parent and the teen. So again, I'll let you guys know when we get closer to that. So, but when it comes to parenting and when it comes to winning with your teens, I'm a firm believer in the connection between the parent and the teen. And when a child is young, when we have a baby, that bond is grown. That bond is established even through the pregnancy cycle. There's a bond that's established between the mom and the baby, and that cannot be broken. I believe that bond will, just simply cannot be broken. And when a baby is young and it gets hurt, or your child's running around and busts his knee on the floor or scrapes his head and starts bleeding, the child instantly knows who to run to, right? Runs to the parents, runs to the ones that are able to help him. And because the reason that is because of that connection that's there. That's a God-given connection. It's something that's built, like I said, from a very young age. And I believe that connection remains throughout life, but especially for this discussion, it's really the same connection is still there even as a teenager. And I know that some of you might be thinking, well, I don't see that. I know, I didn't either, but it was still there. And what I had to do is go back and take a look at that connection and figure out what are some of the hindrances that are blocking our relationship. What are the things like, why doesn't she listen to what I have to say? What is it that has caused her not to really pay attention or believe in what I say or even trust in what I say? And again, like there are many, many things, and every family is different. Every child is different. Every relationship is different. So I'm not going to try to tell you that what I did will work for you, but I do know in this. I know that connection is there, and that the way to win your teen is through that connection. So let's talk about that. I mentioned earlier that I wrote an ebook and on how to grow your connection with your teens in 1 week. This is a 7-day guide, and I'm not, don't be misled. I'm not saying that everything is going to be peachy with your kids in a week, but there are things that you can do right now, today. There are things that you could do to start rebuilding and reconnecting in your relationship with your teens. So I want to go through a couple of them and share them with you. And then if you'd like to go in depth more, I'll give you the website, parentingaccurately.com. All you have to do is leave your email address in there and your name, and then you'll be able to download this resource right away. So the number one thing is we're going to win our kids. We're going to win with our kids through love. That's the bottom line. That's the foundation. We're not going to win them through, being an authoritarian. We're not going to win them by drilling them and telling them that, and being forceful and telling them that, that they've got to do it this way, or you've got to listen to me. We're going to win them through love. Now, love does have a side of being stern and, in a loving way, and it does have a side of demanding results. So I'm not saying that, what I'm saying is the motivation behind everything that we do must be connected to love. So the number one thing, or number one of them that I want to talk about, is to be present and listen. When we're present, that says a lot, guys. I put a post a couple of days ago about the power of a hug. Just being present, hugging your child, hugging your teen, even if they reject you in the beginning, or they're like, "Oh, mom," or "Oh, dad," there's power in that. They say that there's a power, like when you are present and you hug your children for 20 seconds or more, it releases endorphins and it releases chemicals in their body and in their brain that promotes relationship. It promotes trust. So think about the last time that you spent and hugged your child, but not just hugged, but you were able to embrace them for 20 seconds or more. Try it today. If you haven't done it, try it today. It's Love Week, right? Valentine's Day is tomorrow. I'm really curious. Is there anybody here that is giving your kid a Valentine's gift? Your child, your teen, a Valentine's gift. If you leave it in the comments, I'd like to know what you're planning on doing, what you're doing. I think that it's a fun, great time of the year to celebrate love, and but definitely take some time and hug your child. Be present. Listen. Listening is not easy sometimes, especially with us parents. We're very busy. We have a lot of things going on, but it is just really important that we stop and put our phones down. I know that's the hardest part for us, right? Put our phones down and really intentionally listen to what they have to say. And when you listen, what I try to do is, I remember teaching back in grade school that they said in order to really get the most out of a conversation, you must listen or look at the speaker. So look them in the eye. When you make that eye contact, it shows that you're really engaging in it, and it also shows them that you really care. I think this is a very, very important and powerful way to win with our kids. We must listen. Another one is communicate. Listening is a form of communication, but also be transparent. There's nothing wrong with admitting weaknesses that you have. There's nothing wrong with admitting, some areas that you need to improve on. But really take time to find out what's going on in their heart and then communicate with them in a loving way. This will reaffirm them. This will give them more confidence. How many know that kids today need more confidence? I've seen so many out there now that they really are very insecure, which is why many of them are turning to drugs. They're turning to other forms of self, self-verification. They want to be verified in their who they are. They want to be affirmed. But when we take time to communicate with them, that will help establish that in our lives. We all know as a parent that one of our jobs is to prepare them for adulthood. This is a lifelong. It's not a week-long thing that we go through with our kids. Say, okay, this week I'm going to prepare you for adulthood. No, it's a constant, every day. Keep it in mind that our job is to prepare them for life. And what does that look like? Well, like I said, it's an ongoing thing that can start from a very young age. There's different age-appropriate things that you could do, giving them responsibility. If you don't do this, if you do not give your kids responsibility and you're not preparing them for adulthood, what are you really telling them? A powerful way to show them that you love and you really care about them is to really take that time and prepare them. Have hard talks. I've had very difficult and meaningful talks with my kids about work and sometimes their attitude. And I will remind them, look, you're just a year away from working. That attitude, if you have that attitude going into this situation and you're in a workplace, you won't have a job for very long. And so give them a lot of perspective. I've taken a lot of time lately to really cause them to think, and I ask them questions that will make them think about their choices, think about the way they feel, not just in how they feel in the moment, but how are you going to feel in the future? What is this going to look like in the future? What are the results of this action? What are the results or what are the consequences in the future? So many times young people can only think about the now, but then we've got a part of preparing them for adulthood is to train them to think about long-term effects. What is this going to look like, a couple weeks from now? What is this going to look like 6 months from now, or even a year? Getting them to be able to, getting their mind trained to be able to think that way is really, really important. And this was a hard one. Sometimes we need to let them suffer the consequences of their choices. We're not able to save them all the time. And one of the most powerful ways to help our kids learn and to grow is to let them fail. How many of you know we learn by fail? There's a book called Failing Forward that I read years and years ago. It's a tremendous book. And many people in our life, we learn through failing. We learn what doesn't work through failing. Now, it's great if everybody can learn from each other and that we can shortcut time and shortcut a process. But one of the most powerful things that we could do for our kids is to let them fail. And, within reason, of course, and, things that are age appropriate for them. We don't want them to fail by running across the road and getting smashed by a car, but letting them learn the hard way sometimes and be able to hold back and not swoop in and save them. It's hard to do, but it's very necessary. Another effective way to really win with our kids is to get to know their friends. Take the time to invite their friends over for dinner. And you'll learn a lot about your own kids. You'll learn about who they're associating with, and then you'll be able to better help them establishing their own boundaries. I know with my kids, and I have three teenage daughters, and one of the most interesting talks that I've had was about their friends. I had some of them over sometimes, birthday parties, and they come over and hang out sometimes. And I make it a point to sit down with them and talk to them. I ask them about their parents. I ask them about, themselves, how are their grades? And it's interesting the response that I get. Sometimes, they're very open, and then sometimes they're like, nobody's ever asked me this before. One story that I have that happened to me a couple months ago, my daughter had a friend over, and, I saw just attitudes, and I saw some of the things that they were talking about and doing that if I was their parents, I would be concerned. So I actually sat them down at the kitchen table. I talked to my daughter, and I talked to her friend. And truthfully, I confronted her. I confronted her in love, and I said, like, is this really, have you thought about what you're doing? Has anybody ever told you that what you're doing is wrong? And this girl was like 19 years old. She was out of high school already and on her own. And she literally started crying. So, for a moment, I kind of freaked out. I'm like, oh, great. This is not, what I have on my hands here. This is not what I planned. But she started crying, and I began to ask her, has anybody ever told you that you're going down a road that's dangerous, that's not healthy, that's not good, and, you need to stop. And once I realized that nobody had really ever told her that, I then told her, look, this is, I'm trying to help you, trying to keep you from going down a road that's destructive, that will cause a lot of pain, that'll hurt you. And, at the end of it, the conversation, it was good, but that also made me realize that there's some parents out there that just are not really going through, they're not really digging into their kid's life and finding out what's going on. What are their intentions? What are they doing? It also told me a little bit about my daughter and what her boundaries. I think teaching kids boundaries is super important. They need to know, and boundaries are very difficult to establish, especially if you're young. Diana mentioned on the program a couple days ago that one thing that I thought was really powerful, and she shared that the mind of a teenager isn't fully developed yet. The last part of the mind to be developed is the rational part. So even teens are still, this may not be news to you because we've seen it, but many teens are really emotionally driven. They think emotionally. The rational part of their mind is not fully developed. So trying to bring in some of that rationale and help them establish boundaries could really save them and keep them from going down a dark road. So I know that's the heart. That's my heart with my kids. Is I want to help them. I want to push them higher. I want to push them further to succeed in life. And when my daughter went through her suicide attempt and we came out of that, the next couple of years actually was both good, bitter and sweet. The first year was all about me, like really, I took a lot of time to dig into her heart. And I want to encourage you guys to take that time. Take the time to dive in deeper into their heart. Find out what's going on. You're the parent. I believe that you're the number one resource for them. A couple hundred years ago, the kids depended solely on their parents to teach them how to work, to give them an education. The kids worked on the family business in most cases, and that is where they learned about life. Now, parenting, the parenting looks a lot different now than it used to. But that, we rely on school systems, we really rely on a lot of other people to do things that really it's our responsibility. And some of those things are great and it helps. But just because we send our kids off to school, maybe we send our kids to counseling, doesn't change and it doesn't take away the power of your connection with your kid. It doesn't change the responsibility that, you are the one that's responsible to see your kid grow, to see your kid overcome weakness. And that's what happened with my daughter. I took a lot of responsibility. I saw, and I want to go in more depth with this at another time, but I saw that she was really in a hard state because of a lot of it, not everything, but a lot of it was because of a divorce that I went through, that we all went through. And that wounds a young person. That hurts them. It tears their world apart. And what are they supposed to do with that? And unfortunately, during that time, I didn't really talk to her a lot and ask her how she felt and show her that I was with her. Maybe I wasn't able to change what was happening, but at least I should have been more present during that time. And, these are things that I learned later. So I want to pass them on and help encourage you. If you've got a teen that's, rebelling, maybe the grades are dropping, cutting, shows signs of depression, get involved, get in there. And this is where I have a lot of experience and authority to be able to help other parents learn how to bust through those walls. The walls will be built from your kid naturally because they're trying to be safe. And if everything around them is hurting them, they're going to build up a wall wherever they can just to guard their heart. And it's our responsibility as parents to get through that. It's not easy, but it can be done. I'm proof. I've been on the other side of that. And now, fortunately, I believe that we're through it. And, I have a great relationship with my daughter. She's, like I said earlier, she's thriving. She's doing great. Doesn't mean that we don't have disagreements sometimes. And, I'm still her dad, and we still have different discussions. And there's things that she has to learn. But it's been a real joy to walk through that. I mean, it's been some tears too. And but knowing that I reached in fact, yesterday she told me, we were going to a meeting and she told me that, Dad, I really want to let you know that I honor you. And I'm really thankful for you. I'm so thankful that you didn't give up on me. You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. And I tell you that, hearing that from her changed everything. I mean, that made everything worth it. So I encourage you guys to dive in. If you need help with that, let me know. I can coach you guys and help you assess what's going on in different situations and coach you along. Sometimes we just need somebody to help. Sometimes we need somebody to come alongside and give a little bit of direction and guidance and then to check up on you and say, how's everything going? This is extremely important, guys. I've read somewhere a couple weeks ago that in some states, in some areas of the country, over 20% of high school students have considered suicide. Over 7% or up to 7% have actually planned out a suicide attempt. And so, this is alarming, very alarming numbers, and the suicide rates keep going up. And I believe it is the parents that can really do the most to help our kids. So all we've got to do is learn how to jump in there and parent actively, parent accurately. So if you are interested in learning more or want to go in more depth, like I said, I do have that resource available on parentingaccurately.com. Go enter your email, your name, and you can download that for free. And it'll cover a lot more of what we discussed today in more depth. But so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna end the broadcast in just a moment, but I do want to give you guys a chance, give an opportunity to. I want to give away a free coaching session, a free 30-minute session. And here's how we're gonna do it. Send in an email and say yes, I would love that coaching session. And later today, I'm going to take all the emails, we'll put numbers to them, and we'll randomly pick one. And then then I'll email you guys and let you know who won. So, all right. You guys, I hope that you're having a good day. I hope that you're having a great week. Enjoy Valentine's Day. Enjoy the Valentine's Day with your kids. If take a moment, give them a big hug, and don't let go. Don't let go. Your kids need you. They value you more than you know. Even if they say they don't, they do. Deep inside, they know who their parents are, who their covering is. So you guys have a great weekend. I will announce as soon as Diana can come back, I'll put that in the event. We'll reschedule that and get that going, guys. So looking forward to continuing that discussion with her as well. So anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day tomorrow, and we will see you soon.